I stood in the doorway of the hospital room, hands still trembling, my jaw locked so tight it hurt. There she was, Ashley, my wife of 6 godforsaken years, sitting up in that bed like the queen of betrayal, cradling a child that did not belong to me. Her skin glowed, hairstyled perfectly like she was going for a magazine shoot, not recovering from birth. But it was her smile, the satisfied, smug little curve on her lips, that nearly made me snap. She looked up at me like nothing had happened. After the birth, she said in this soft, almost sweet tone, "Can you take me to see Matthew? I want to show him the baby he made." Every syllable she spoke was a bullet. The baby he made? I blinked. Not we. Not you and I. Not ours. No. His. I didn't say anything right away. I walked in slowly. Calmly. Too calmly. The nurse glanced at me with that "congrats, Dad" expression on her face, and I wanted to laugh. I wanted to scream. I wanted to smash something against the wall. Instead, I reached for the birth certificate sitting neatly on the tray beside the bed, and with both eyes locked on hers, I tore it in half. Then again, and again. The pieces fluttered to the floor like ashes. "You crazy," her father yelled, shooting up from the corner seat like a missile. I ignored him, looked right at her. Not my child. Not my problem. Then I pulled the folder from the table drawer, the hospital deposit paperwork, and ripped that up too, before tucking the check back into my coat pocket. The room froze. Ashley blinked. Twice. Her smile cracked, then dropped. "What are you doing, Aaron?" she hissed. I stepped closer. Her father tried to grab my arm, but I yanked it away. Leaned down until my mouth was inches from her ear. "You slept with that alpha gym rat?" I whispered, "and now you want me to raise his child?" Her face turned pale, then blotchy, then red with embarrassment. And right there, in front of her father, the nurse, and God, she burst into tears. But I felt nothing. Not pity. Not sadness. Just clarity. Let me rewind. You want to know how we got here? How I ended up watching my wife give birth to another man's baby like a background actor in someone else's movie. It started 8 months ago. She began coming home late. I mean really late, after midnight, sometimes close to 2 a.m. Always with some excuse. Book club ran long, Stacy was having a breakdown, the girls went out for mocktails. I gave her the benefit of the doubt. I was working overtime, building a future for us. I figured she needed time to breathe. Stupid me. She started wearing new makeup, lingerie I hadn't seen before, spritzing herself in that citrus vanilla perfume I hated, but now she wore it religiously. And her phone? Clutched tighter than a poker chip at a casino. Always flipped down. Notifications off. Once I walked into the kitchen, and she jumped like she'd seen a ghost. Clutched her phone and fumbled it into her back pocket like a teenager hiding DMs. I noticed it all, but I was in denial. Until that night. I came home early from work. My boss canceled a late meeting. It was around 7:30. Lights were dimmed. House quiet. Too quiet. Then I heard her voice. Soft, breathy. Laughing in a way I hadn't heard in years. I followed the sound to the baby's room. That's right. The nursery. She was sitting on the rocking chair, phone to her ear, whispering, "Do you think she'll have your dimples?" Your dimples. Not ours. That was the first time something truly broke inside me. I didn't confront her then. I went back to the car, sat there for 90 minutes. Let my hands bleed from gripping the steering wheel so hard. And when I walked back in like I'd just come from work, she smiled at me with lips that still remembered someone else's kiss. I should have left right then. But I didn't. I waited. Waited for the baby to arrive. Waited to see if she'd own up to anything. She never did. Until today, in that hospital room, when she asked me to chauffeur her and his baby like a damn Uber driver. And when I said no, her father charged at me like a rabid animal. "You son of a..." I shoved him back with one hand, never breaking eye contact with Ashley. "You wanted to live like a queen? You can. But not with my crown." The nurse screamed for security. Ashley was still crying, clutching the baby like a shield. And I walked out of that hospital without once looking back. But that was just the beginning. What happened next? It's the part nobody saw coming. Because I wasn't done yet. Not by a long shot. I didn't go home that night. I couldn't. I drove for hours with no real direction. I stopped once at some 24-hour diner in Jersey, ordered coffee, but never touched it. My hands were still shaking, heart pounding like a war drum. Every second, the same image looped in my mind, Ashley's satisfied smirk as she held his child in her arms, asking me to drive her to her lover. The audacity. The ing arrogance. At around 3 a.m., I ended up at a cheap motel just off the highway. I stared at the cracked ceiling for hours, and when I finally drifted into a half-sleep, her voice echoed in my head. Do you think she'll have your dimples? That one sentence poisoned every memory we ever made. Our wedding day, our honeymoon in Maui, even that dumb night we danced in the kitchen at 1 a.m., none of it meant anything now. It was all smoke. Fake. By morning, the anger had hardened. I wasn't numb. I was sharp. I needed answers. I needed proof. Not for court. Not for sympathy. Just for me. I went home around 9. The house was empty. Her hospital stay was at least 2 more days. I didn't hesitate. I went straight to her closet. That's when I found it. A locked drawer. Bottom left. Ashley always kept her private things in there. Old journals, cards from her high school friends. At least that's what she said. I ripped the damn thing open with a crowbar from the garage. Inside, I found a small notebook and a flash drive. The notebook was full of dates, hearts, and initials. Imred Heart, A. 3rd time at the studio, so intense. Beach day with him. Aaron thinks I'm at mom's. I flipped through page after page of lies. Not just recent ones. Years of betrayal. Emotional. Physical. Bold. She didn't just cheat. She lived in the cheating. Like it was her second life. I plugged the flash drive into my laptop. Dozens of video files. A folder labeled Leg Day Fire. Against my better judgment, I clicked. There she was, wearing those leggings I bought her last Christmas, bent over in front of some sweaty, grinning slab of muscle I recognized instantly. Matthew. The trainer. The man who taught her self-discipline every Tuesday and Thursday while I paid the damn gym bills. The video cut off before things got explicit, but it didn't matter. Her giggles. The way she touched his arm. The way she kissed him at the end, thinking no one was watching. I closed the laptop and sat in silence for a long time. Then I packed a bag. Only essentials. I left the rest, left it all to her. The house, the memories, the fakeness. She could rot in it for all I cared. But I didn't leave town. Oh no. I stayed close. Because I wasn't done. You see, Ashley thought she played the game well. Thought she could juggle me and Matthew, have her safety net and her playground. But I've been quiet too long. Kind too long. Forgiving too damn long. I booked an appointment with a lawyer that afternoon. Told him everything. Showed him the notes. The footage. The torn-up birth certificate. You're not raising that kid, he said bluntly. And with this? You'll keep your assets, guaranteed. Good. That was the first sliver of peace I'd had in weeks. But I wasn't looking for peace. I wanted truth. And Ashley was about to get more of it than she ever asked for. Because when she got discharged, I'd be waiting with divorce papers, custody waivers, and a smile colder than the hospital floors. She'd never see it coming. But Matthew would. I had plans for him too. The day she was discharged, I made sure I was there. Not inside the hospital. No, I waited outside in the car, just far enough to avoid the nurses but close enough for her to see me. The moment she stepped out in that soft pink robe with her baby in arms, his baby, I rolled down the window and waved. She looked stunned, like a ghost had crawled out of the past. Her dad was with her, holding the diaper bag and mumbling something under his breath. He saw me and cursed. Ashley looked down at the baby, then back at me. I stepped out, papers in hand. She walked toward me slowly, cautiously. Aaron, what are you doing here? She asked, forcing a smile like I hadn't just torn her entire lie apart days ago. I didn't speak. I handed her the manila envelope. She took it hesitantly. What is this? Your next chapter, I said. She opened it. Her eyes scanned the first page, then the second. Her fingers started to tremble. You're divorcing me? Her voice cracked. Full release from everything. Assets, property, bank accounts, and a paternity waiver. I'm not paying a cent for that kid, I said, nodding toward the infant swaddled in blue. Ashley's face changed. First shock, then rage. You can't just. I stepped forward, voice low. I can. And I did. I have everything. The notebook. The videos. The dates. The texts. You think I didn't know? You think I didn't feel it every time you lied to my face? Her dad started moving closer like he was about to say something. I held up a hand. This is between me and her. Ashley's bottom lip quivered. You're doing this now? Right after I gave birth? Perfect timing, I said. The mask is off. No more pretending. She scoffed. What about what we had, Aaron? What about the years we spent together? You mean the years I paid for your gym membership so you could sneak off and play house with Matthew? The color drained from her face. She knew I knew. And for the first time, she had nothing to say. But I wasn't done. I leaned in closer, eyes burning. And here's the best part. I spoke to his wife. Her jaw dropped. What? Yeah. Turns out Matthew's married. Got 2 kids in Ohio. Nice little suburban life. Until I sent her the videos. The texts. Your little notebook entries. Ashley was frozen, mouth slightly open, like her brain couldn't compute the betrayal. Don't worry, I added. She's flying in next week. Wants to meet the woman who wrecked her family. Her knees buckled slightly, and she gripped the stroller for support. Good. Let her feel weak. For once. You're a monster, she hissed. No, Ashley, I whispered. I'm a mirror. You're just finally seeing yourself. Her dad stepped in furious. You'll pay for this. I looked at him, calm as ever. I already did. For 6 years. I'm done now. And with that, I turned, got into my car, and drove away without a single glance back. But the story didn't end there. That night, I got a message from a number I didn't recognize. You're the husband? We need to talk. He ruined my life too. It was Matthew's wife. And what she had to say would change everything. Her name was Claire. Matthew's wife. She messaged me again before I even replied. I saw the videos. Thank you for sending them. He always said his late nights were training sessions. Guess they were. I stared at the message for a long time, unsure what to even say. There was something strange about talking to the other victim of this circus. Like finding out the monster under your bed was haunting someone else too. I finally replied. He got my wife pregnant. I found out in the hospital the day she gave birth. Her typing bubble popped up right away. He told me they stopped seeing each other months ago. I guess that was a lie too. I don't know what I expected from her. Bitterness? Rage? Silence? Instead, she asked, Can I call you? I hesitated, then typed, Give me 10 minutes. I grabbed a beer from the fridge and sat on the back porch. It was raining slightly, the kind of soft drizzle that should have been peaceful. But there was no peace in my chest. Just that cold, tight knot that betrayal leaves behind. She called. Her voice was tired, worn, but sharp. I'm sorry you're going through this, Claire said. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. You too, I said. How long did you know? Found a message pop up on his Apple Watch a few months back. Saw the name Ash and a heart emoji. He said it was just a client being extra friendly. I wanted to believe him. Her voice cracked for a second, then steadied. But something in my gut didn't sit right. Yeah, I muttered. That gut feeling. We ignore it until it's too late. She paused. You said your wife got pregnant? Due date lined up perfectly with their training sessions. And now she wants me to raise the child. Like some kind of consolation prize. Claire exhaled sharply. God, these people. We were quiet for a moment. Just sitting in our different worlds, both destroyed by the same man and the same woman. You said you're coming into town next week? I asked. I was. But now I think I want to come sooner. I need closure. I want to look Ashley in the face. I smiled bitterly. You and me both. And right then, the idea hit me. What if we did it together? I said slowly. You, me, and them. One room. No more lies. No more games. She didn't answer right away. Then, I'm in. 2 days later, Claire flew in. We met at a coffee shop downtown. I recognized her immediately, tall, sharp cheekbones, eyes that looked like they'd seen way too much pain for someone in their 30s. We sat down across from each other like two detectives comparing notes. She begged me not to go public, Claire said, stirring her coffee. Told me she loved him, that they had a connection, like I was some kind of obstacle to her fantasy. I clenched my jaw. Ashley said almost the same thing, that she felt alive with him, like her life together wasn't enough. Claire leaned in. I want to see their faces when they realize it's over. Not just for one of us. For both. I nodded. We made a plan. Ashley thought she was meeting me to talk things out at her favorite Italian spot. Matthew thought Claire had forgiven him and wanted to meet privately. But we rented out the back room. When they walked in together, smiling, hand in hand, they saw us sitting there, side by side. Claire didn't say a word. Neither did I. We just watched their faces crack like glass under pressure. Matthew's arm dropped from around Ashley's waist. Ashley took a step back like she'd seen a ghost. And finally, Claire stood. So she said, voice calm but shaking slightly. Who wants to explain first? The silence that followed was deafening. And the storm hadn't even started yet. Ashley's face twisted into something I hadn't seen before. Something raw, panicked, and completely off script. She looked at me, then at Claire, then back at Matthew. You told me she moved out, Ashley hissed at him, her voice low but venomous. Matthew opened his mouth but said nothing. His lips moved, his eyes wide, like a man who just realized the rope he's been climbing was actually a noose. Claire didn't flinch. She stepped forward, dropping a manila envelope onto the table in front of them. Bank records, she said flatly. Hotel receipts. Text message backups. Security camera footage from our garage. You two are disgusting. Ashley glanced at the envelope like it might explode. I didn't mean for it to happen like this, she said weakly. I laughed. Loudly. The whole restaurant turned. I didn't care. You didn't mean for what? For me to walk into that hospital room and hear you ask to introduce your bastard child to your gym boy toy? For me to be the backup plan while you played house with a steroid junkie behind my back? Matthew finally found his voice. Look, man, I didn't know she was married at first. Save it, I cut him off. You've been to my house. You helped me carry that treadmill into the basement. I offered you a beer. Ashley stepped forward now, desperation in her voice. Aaron, please. I know I messed up, but we can work through this. I just had a baby. I'm hormonal. I wasn't thinking straight. Claire let out a dry, bitter chuckle. Oh no, sweetie. You were thinking very straight. For 9 months. Ashley turned to her. You don't understand. He said he was going to leave you. He said he wanted to be with me. Matthew's eyes flared. What? No, I didn't. I told you I was working things out with Claire. The room fell silent again. This time, Ashley looked like she might collapse. And that's when I said it. That baby? Good luck putting Matthew's name on the certificate. I had my attorney file a paternity waiver. You'll be getting exactly 0 support from me. Ashley blinked like the words didn't compute. You can't do that. Claire smiled. He already did. You ruined everything. Ashley shouted, tears finally flowing. No, I said, standing up slowly. You did that. One lie at a time. One betrayal at a time. You turned our marriage into a dumpster fire and expected me to fan the flames. Claire stood too. And Matthew? We're done. I spoke to a lawyer back in Ohio. I'm taking the kids in the house. You'll be lucky to get weekends in a hotel. Matthew paled. I made a mistake, he said weakly. No, Claire said coldly. You made choices. The silence that followed was the sound of 2 people watching their fake world burn down in real time. Ashley sank into a chair, sobbing. Matthew just stood there, hands on his head, like he was trying to rewind reality. I looked at Claire, and for the first time since all this began, I saw a sliver of strength shining in both of us. We turned and walked out together. Didn't look back. Didn't need to. We had already seen enough. Outside, the rain had stopped. Claire exhaled slowly. You know what the worst part is, she said. I shook my head. They didn't even say sorry. And somehow, that made it all feel even more real. But we weren't broken. Not anymore. We were just getting started. I didn't go straight home after the confrontation. Claire and I sat in the car outside the restaurant for nearly half an hour. The air inside was still thick with the stench of betrayal, but neither of us spoke. There was nothing left to say, not yet. I thought I'd feel better, she finally muttered, staring blankly through the windshield. Yeah, I said. Me too. We both laughed a little, though it didn't sound like laughter, more like exhausted breath trying to claw its way out of 2 shattered chests. I'm going to be honest with you, she said, looking over at me. I feel like I just lost a 10-year battle I didn't even know I was in. I feel like I was fighting on the wrong team the whole time, I replied. And that's the thing no one tells you about betrayal, it doesn't just hurt. It disorients you. You start questioning everything. Every memory, every laugh, every quiet night spent thinking everything was fine. Ashley sent me 7 messages that night. The first said, we need to talk. The second, I'm sorry. The third was a photo of the baby. The rest? Variations of guilt, manipulation, and desperation. I didn't reply to a single one. Instead, I poured myself a whiskey, sat on the couch, and started scrolling through photos on my phone. Pictures of us on vacation, smiling, laughing, all lies. I'd spent years building a life with someone who was busy building a backup. Then came the text from mutual friends. Dude, what happened? Ashley says you went crazy at the hospital? Heard you, and some woman ambushed her and Matt at dinner? I ignored those 2. People pick sides without knowing the truth. That's the thing about cheaters. They don't just cheat on you. They cheat for attention. They spin their story, play victim, cry on cue. I wasn't about to help her script. The next day, I got served with a cease and desist letter from Matthew's lawyer. Cease and desist from distributing defamatory material. I laughed when I read it. He was trying to shut me up. I called my own lawyer. Can I respond? With a smile, he said. And a counter-threat. We filed a claim of emotional damages, supplied evidence of defamation against me from Ashley's fake stories, and I gave permission for Claire to use every piece of evidence in her divorce. 2 days later, Matthew's lawyer backed off. Claire called to tell me, laughing for real this time. He's scared, she said. Like really scared. He should be. Because I wasn't the same man I was a week ago. I wasn't the naive, over-trusting fool who believed in talking it out or working through it. I'd seen the truth. Lived it. I changed my number. Blocked Ashley on every platform. Froze the joint accounts. Shut down every route she had to manipulate me. She didn't take it well. She showed up at my door. In tears. Holding the baby. Aaron, she begged. Please. Just give me 5 minutes. I stepped outside and closed the door behind me. I gave you 6 years, I said. You used every minute to lie. She looked exhausted. Hollow. But not sorry, just scared. Scared to lose her lifestyle. Scared to lose control. You don't understand, Matt left me. He says it's too much pressure. I blinked. You mean, the man who made a baby with you doesn't want to raise it either? She said nothing. I leaned in closer. Sounds like karma came early this year. She wiped her face, looking around like someone might jump in to save her. But no one did. Not this time. You ruined my life, she whispered. No, I said, stepping back inside and locking the door. You just finally have to live in it. The silence after I closed that door was the loudest thing I'd ever heard. I stood there, forehead resting against the wood, listening to her soft sobs fade into the distance as she walked away. And as she did, a strange calm washed over me, not peace, not quite, but a settling. Like the dust had finally dropped after a demolition, and all I could see were the broken bricks. My life, as I knew it, was over. But for the first time, that didn't scare me. I spent the next week cleaning out the house. Not just literally, though I did toss out every framed photo, every scented candle she left behind, every little note with hearts and lies scribbled across them, but emotionally too. I started pulling myself back together, piece by piece, like some shattered puzzle dumped on the floor. There were moments that hurt like hell. I'd find a pair of her earrings tangled in the carpet, or one of those prenatal books with her little sticky notes still inside. Can't wait for him to kick. And each time, it felt like a blade twisted in my ribs. Because I believed those notes. I thought she meant every word. But she didn't. Claire and I texted occasionally. Nothing romantic, nothing weird. Just two people rebuilding from the same fire. She sent me a message one morning that stuck with me. The worst part isn't losing them. It's realizing they never existed the way you thought they did. I stared at that for a long time. Because it was true. Ashley wasn't who I thought she was. And I wasn't who I'd been, either. One night, I was sitting on the back porch with a drink, watching the sunset bleed across the sky, when I got a message from someone I didn't expect. Hey, it's Stacy. I just found out what happened. I'm so sorry. Stacy was Ashley's best friend. The one I always thought was a little too loyal, too blind. She lied to everyone, Stacy added. Told us you left her while she was pregnant. That you wanted a paternity test out of spite. I feel sick? I replied. She played all of us. You were just another piece on the board. Stacy asked if I was okay. And you know what? I was. Not great. Not healed. But okay. I wasn't checking her social media anymore. I wasn't replaying the betrayal in my head every hour. I could go through a whole day without thinking about Matthew's smug face or that moment in the hospital when my world tilted sideways. I was breathing again. Then came the letter. Not an email. Not a text. An actual handwritten letter in a floral envelope. Ashley. She wrote 3 pages, front and back, detailing how sorry she was. How she'd lost herself during the pregnancy. How Matthew wasn't who she thought he was. How she wished she could go back and choose me. She ended it with, even if you can't forgive me, I want you to know you were the best part of my life. I folded the letter, placed it in a drawer, and didn't respond. Because forgiveness doesn't always come with a reply. Sometimes it comes with silence. And I'd already said everything that needed to be said. 2 weeks later, I got a text from Claire. Just finalized the divorce. Signed the papers in front of him. He cried. I didn't. I smiled. Proud of you. I wrote. Freedom looks good on us. Because it did. And for the first time in what felt like forever, I wasn't just surviving. I was beginning again. It was a quiet Sunday morning when I finally stepped back into the gym. The same one where Ashley had first met Matthew. The same one where I unknowingly paid for their private little sessions while I busted my ass at work trying to provide a life worth coming home to. I stood in the locker room for a minute, staring at my reflection. Something about it looked different now. Not the face, not exactly, but the eyes. They'd seen war. Not the kind with bullets, but betrayal. The kind that bleeds you dry inside. And yet, I was still standing. I walked into the weight room like a man returning to a crime scene, not for vengeance, but reclamation. That place didn't own me. Their affair didn't get to keep my peace. I did. I wasn't there to run into anyone, but of course fate has a twisted sense of humor. Matthew was there. Alone. No clipboard, no cocky smile. Just sweat-stained sleeves and a face that looked like it hadn't slept in days. He saw me immediately. I expected him to look away. He didn't. He walked up slowly, like a man approaching a funeral. "Aaron," he said, voice low. "Look. I know nothing I say means anything right now, but..." I cut him off. "Good. Then don't say anything." He froze, mouth open. "I don't want your apology. I don't want closure. I don't even want to hear your voice," I said, stepping in closer. "I just want you to understand that I see you now. No mask. No ego. Just another coward who couldn't keep it in his pants." He didn't say a word. Just stood there, swallowing his own shame. "I hope you treat your next life better," I added, "because you torched this one." Then I walked past him and started lifting. He didn't follow. Over the next few months, I rebuilt. Not dramatically. Not in some cinematic new man way, but piece by piece. I joined a book club, started journaling, traveled to Vermont alone and actually enjoyed the silence. I went to therapy, pushed through the rage, the self-doubt, the gut-wrenching flashbacks. And slowly, the poison started to leave my system. I met people, new people, good people, not as a man looking to replace something, but as someone building something better from scratch. Claire and I kept in touch now and then. We sent each other updates like old war buddies comparing battle scars. Started painting, she wrote once. "It's messy. I like it." I told her about the trip to Vermont. How I stood at the edge of a cliff and screamed every last angry thought into the trees. How it felt like unloading a decade of pain in one breath. "Sounds healing," she said. "You deserve that." I did. But healing doesn't always look pretty. Some nights, I still woke up angry. Still dreamed about that hospital room. Still imagined what could have been if she hadn't chosen lies over loyalty. But those thoughts no longer owned me. They visited. I didn't invite them to stay. 1 year after the divorce was finalized, I got a message from an unknown number. "He's not coming to visit." Again. I don't know what to tell her when she asks where her daddy is. "Ashley." I stared at it for a long time. Read it over and over. Then I deleted it. Because the truth is this. I wasn't her savior. I wasn't the backup plan. I wasn't the man who'd raise someone else's child just because she ran out of options. I was free. And I finally understood that walking away wasn't the hard part. Staying gone was. If I could give advice to anyone reading this, anyone who's gone through the fire, it's this. Listen to your gut. Watch the little lies. The late-night phone flips. The hollow kisses. They're not just red flags, they're alarms. Don't silence them. And when betrayal knocks you to the floor, don't just get up. Rise different. Rise stronger. Rise free. Because love is real. But so is deception. And the truth is the only thing worth holding on to. I let go of her. And I found myself.